to meet you,
Nice to meet you.
Ricardo.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome at the racetrack.
Oh, this is my first time here at the racetracks, and I'm so excited.
Must be so many things you see for the first time. I guess.
Absolutely. You know, I've never been on a racetrack before. Never in a pit. Is that what you call it? A pit?
It's the pit.
Yeah.
This is, as you see, the pit lane, and
Oh, okay. The pit lane. So I'm now inside the pit lane.
inside the pit lane. and
Okay.
Since the first time, I'm happy to guide you around.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I want to know everything about racing, and I know that all of our audience members who may not be familiar will definitely want to know too.
We'll start from the start.
Recardo Bruins Choi, also known by the Korean name Choi Myung-gil, is one of Korea's top car racers and the favorite to become Korea's first F1 driver. Choi was adopted to the Netherlands at just 6 months old, and thanks to the influence of his father, he began driving go-karts at the age of 5. His talent and hard work led him to become the first person of Korean descent to make podium finishes at the Germany F3 Grand Prix in 2007, and grabbed media attention with a special car painted with the names of great Koreans. Choi joined the Indigo Racing Team in Korea in 2009, became the KSF season champion in 2011, and is now poised to be the star that will promote racing in Korea, a country that is still largely unfamiliar with motorsports. Join me, Susan Lee MacDonald, and meet Recardo Bruins Choi, current leader in the 2012 KSF season, as he gears up for the championship on this week's The Interview.
Well, as you see here, we have the race car.
Okay.
We changed many things. As you see, there's not normal windows anymore.
Oh yeah, look. So they're not glass and they're plastic?
They're plastic.
A particular reason
Yeah.
why?
Well, first of all, plastic is much lighter, and it's also very safe. If you have an accident, the window will
yes.
not like splash with all the pieces of glass, but it's plastic.
You know, and I notice here your name is here.
Yes.
And you go by both Choi Myung-gil
Yeah.
and Recardo Bruin. And is this your blood type?
This is a blood type.
Wait, so why is your blood type here?
It's a long story, but back in the days, like 50 years ago, when people crashed and they needed blood, and they were like unconscious, then they need to know what kind of blood they should give.
Oh, I see. Wow.
And we changed the brakes and the engine and the interior because you don't need all the radio and the navigation.
So you don't
and
listen
heat
to the
control.
tunes as you're
No.
driving?
And also we don't have any aircon, so in the summer it's very hot in the car as well.
Oh my goodness, wow. I'd love to look inside. Can
Yeah.
you show me? Oh, wow.
Welcome in my my so-called office.
Oh, what an awesome office.
Here's where I sit and where I drive the car. Just like a normal passenger car, we're sitting on the left side.
Okay.
As you can see here, the seat is a special made seat just for racing.
Very unusual.
Very narrow
Wow.
and tight. And here we can see the belts.
Wow.
So you strap yourself in on 6 points, like here,
Okay.
here, and here.
This reminds me of like a roller coaster strap-in.
Yeah, you have to sit in very tight, not only because for safety, but also to drive it because of the G-forces.
Okay. And I see that this is a little bit different.
Yeah, to drive it, you need a steering wheel. This is not a steering wheel you see on normal cars with an airbag and a horn in it.
Yes.
But it's only a steering wheel together with a button for the radio, because we can talk with the people here at the pit lane.
Okay. So there's constant communication between you and the pit lane.
Well,
folks?
preferably for every driver, not too much, because we want to concentrate. But essential information we share.
I see. Great. And then what's that display? Is that a speedometer?
Yes, this is the display, and it can show everything actually, because you have many menus. But the only menu we're looking at is which gear we are in,
Okay.
how many RPM the engine is making, and the temperature of the engine, because those are very essential to drive.
Well, this looks so much fun. I can imagine that you spent a lot of hours in this office.
I mean, as you see at the other side, we have another seat mounted,
Yes.
and if you would like, we can go out for a couple of laps.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I would love to go riding with you. Oh wow! Does this happen often?
Yeah,
yeah.
This is, we do it once in a while.
Once in a while.
To experience the real racing at the track, you should definitely try it.
Okay, well thank you so much. I can't wait. Okay. Awesome. Fantastic. Good. Wow. That was so awesome. I know why people want to be race car drivers, because now I know I want to change my job and do this. It was so much fun. You know, I think I need to maybe take off this helmet, because it's always really cool when I see women, you know, take off their helmets. Let's see. Is that cool? You know, this was such an experience of a lifetime. You know, I'm pretty much an adrenaline junkie. I love going hiking, I love driving my car really fast. Last year I even went skydiving, but this year I have to say this takes the cake. There's nothing quite like going as fast as we were going. And I knew that because I was in the hands of Recardo Bruins Choi, one of the best car racers of Korea, I knew that I was going to be safe. But my gosh, whew, he's a lucky guy to have this job. Ricardo, thank you so much for having us here.
Yes, very welcome.
Wow, you know, I have to say that it was the thrill of my life to be in the car with you.
I can imagine after seeing your face on the screen. I guess it must be very overwhelming to be first time on the track and directly into the car.
Yes.
A big track with all kind of other cars around us.
Yes, and to feel the G-force, like going around, which you talked about earlier. Wow, it was something else. Wow.
Yeah, the belts are there not for nothing, so
exactly.
They will really help you to keep in position.
Mm-hmm. You know, I have to honestly say I felt totally safe though, because I had full 100% trust in your ability to drive, and I mean, you know, you're a race car driver who's won, you know, numerous awards, and I know that you know, we're going to keep me safe. So that's one thing that I can rest assured, because my mom and other people are like, are you going to be okay riding the car?
Well, you survived, so
yes,
I did my job.
Absolutely, and I'm smiling. So tell me about the race that you're involved in here.
Yeah, we are here at the last race of the Korean Speed Festival. Mm-hmm. That's the name of the championship.
Okay.
It consists of 7 races this year.
Okay.
And starts from around March till October. This is the last race.
Wow. It's a very long period, yes?
Yeah, we have almost every month one race, and we had one double round, like 2 races in one weekend last time. And yeah, this is the last race, so I can still become a champion.
Yes.
This year again for the 2nd time in a row. Will not be easy, because as you saw today, everyone is very fast. Mm-hmm. But trying very hard, and hopefully we have some luck as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. You won last year's Korea Speed Festival, and you're the favorite to win this year. What do you think is your secret to doing so well here in Korea?
Oh, there's no secret at all. Because as you saw today, I mean, we're by far not the fastest. I think the most important thing is to be very consistent. To be consistent at every race, so no disqualifications, no DNFs.
What's a DNF?
Not finish.
Okay.
Did not finish.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really important to score points every race. Mm-hmm. Even although you not win, I mean, it's 4th, 5th, it's fine.
Wow. If you were to win first on Sunday, what happens?
I have no idea. It will come up spontaneously. But at the moment, like, because we're still in front of the official racing weekend, it's not something that I have been thinking about.
Mm-hmm. So is your focus mainly just to do your personal best, or is it to win?
No, I just wanted to get everything out of the car. If it's not enough for first place, if it's 2nd or 3rd, I'm happy to.
And I know that you've done really well in the past rounds, and I'm just curious, how do you mentally prepare for doing well for these rounds?
Well, we prepare on many things. Of course, you have to practice in the car at the track. That will help a lot. But on the other side, you also have to talk with the mechanics, with the engineers here to set up the car, to like optimize everything. And that's what we have been doing for the last couple of weeks, like talking about the setting, how we going to like go into the free practices and the qualifying. And we try to get all ends together, and then then we need just a little bit of luck and it should be fine.
Yeah. When you're in the car and when you are in front of your handle, like in your, when you're in front of the steering handle and you're trying to decide, you know, things just kind of at a split second,
Right.
How do you make those decisions?
Well, those decisions you make by, of course, you think about it, but you do everything up front. Because if you're in the corner and you have to think, oh, the car slips a little bit, what should I do? Then you're already too late.
I see.
So once you go into a corner, you already think if the car slips from the back or from front, like I will do this with the steering wheel, or like release a little bit of the brake, those kind of things. And it's only because with these race cars, in contrast with driving on the road, you always drive on the limit. You always drive on the limit what the car can do, what the tires can do. So the car is always moving, and you always have to take that in account. And that's why we practice so much to be prepared.
Wow, you know, I can imagine just the kind of physical sacrifices that you've had to make to continue in the sport, because it must be an incredible amount of stress on your body, and just in your thinking. What do you do to kind of relieve that stress?
Well, relieving stress is never an option, because you always need a little bit of stress to keep you sharp and to get some adrenaline before the start. But it's always a combination of many things. And to relieve, well, the best thing to relieve is when you pass the finish line first.
Yes.
That's the best relief that you can have.
So Ricardo, speaking of winning and that feeling of exhilaration, which I really hope for you is going to be happening this weekend, is when you're crossing that finish line, and when you crossed the finish line last year, how did you feel?
To be really honest, I don't really remember anymore, but I remember after coming to the pit lane and we were standing there, and you can go up to the podium and you get the champagne ceremony. It was a great relief. I mean, everybody was really happy, and I mean, that's what we have been working for the whole year.
You're going to be competing in next year's Super GT race, and I'm curious, what are your thoughts of how to prepare for that race?
Well, we prepare, of course, by watching the races that we are competing in. So we'll go there a couple of times to see how the atmosphere is, how the drivers are. Because some drivers I already know from previous racing series. But I never drove in those kind of cars, so it will be first time for all of us.
Oh wow!
In that kind of sense, so we have to prepare mainly on how to deal with the new procedures in racing.
Wow. It must be great to be able to work with the best of the best here in Korea, and I'm sure that with your experience in the past and in other countries, you've seen how people work. What is it like working with the guys here?
I mean, in the beginning when I came here, I thought, well, Korea is not the level that I used to work with, and to be really honest, after coming in here into the workshop, I saw them like working on the car, and I was thinking, yeah, I can totally trust these people. I mean, I put my life in the car, and if something like a wheel comes off, and I'm always very cautious about that. But with these, I can go into the car and I know it's fine.
Yeah, I mean that's so important, right? To have that feeling of safety, because you're putting your life in the hands of the mechanics and in the hands of the car. So without that kind of trust, it must not be easy.
It's impossible to drive.
You lived most of your life in the Netherlands, is that right? I mean, you're Dutch. And you have a very unique story. Your Korean name is Choi Myung-gil. Your Dutch name is Recardo Bruins. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly.
I can understand it as well.
How would you say your name?
Bruins.
Bruins.
Yeah.
So when you're here in Korea, do you go by Ricardo? Do you go by Myung-gil?
No, in Korea, I use my Korean name because also for these guys, it's a lot easier to pronounce when we talk over the radio. But to come back on your story, yeah, I was born in Korea. After about half a year, I moved to the Netherlands. I was adopted in the Netherlands. I grew up there, went to school there, and when I was 5, I started racing. My dad did racing as a hobby and brought me to the racetrack, and I could try it one time.
Wow.
And never wanted to stop afterwards.
When you were 5 years old only and you started, was it go-kart
Yeah,
racing?
go-kart. Yeah.
I guess your father was a huge supporter of you. What did your mother feel? She must have been a little bit scared that her
She
son...
was not that happy with that development, but in the end, she saw that I had lots of fun with it, and it became viral.
Yeah. Do you remember some of your first memories as a child?
Well, not really. I mean, at that time you're too young and you're only like busy to go to drive whenever you can, just for fun. But from the age of 8, at that time we were always competing with around 40 kids, and 2 of them driving in F1, which were driving with us together.
Yeah.
So those are always great stories. I mean, at that time we were competing, and sometimes I won, sometimes they won, or sometimes any other. But every year I think it was the highest competition I ever competed in.
What was the competition like between the kids? Like, were you guys really competitive with each
No,
other?
we were not rivals, only on the
No?
racetrack. And while we get out of the go-kart, we started to play soccer, and to play with other kids. But once everybody puts on their helmet, they're nobody's friends anymore. So is the dad.
Yeah. It seems like you have a lot of really great memories with your father, and I hear that your father is also here this weekend.
Yeah, he came for the last race to Korea.
I'm sure that that he's so proud of you for having become a professional race car driver, because actually it's without him you probably may not be here today.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really thankful to him that he brought me into the sport and learned me especially the values of life to be successul or to achieve something that you really want. And there were moments that I was crying to him and said, "Oh, I cannot do it." And he said, "You should just try it. If you don't try, you never know." So we always went on and on.
Wow.
And yeah, until the day of today, he's still very, very proud. And it's also something that I guess he wanted to do when he was young. But unfortunately for him, it was differently.
So in a way, he's kind of living vicariously through you, but not in a creepy way, but in a way that really is supportive of you.
Yeah, I mean, he's not actively in racing anymore, but we'll always try to I will always try to have him involved in everything. Yeah.
With your mother, how does she feel about you racing now?
Oh, she likes it. I mean, she really enjoys. She wants to know, like, after qualifying, after a race, what the result is. She's with the phone in her hand. And she's really, really supportive in that kind of sense.
How would you describe your competitive spirit?
Well, when I was young, if I couldn't win, I really wanted to cry. But it's not like that anymore. But
Yeah.
I mean, if I lost a race or something stupid I did, I don't sleep for half a week.
Half a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
It keeps reminding me of what could do better, or this kind of thing.
I'm curious what your friends and classmates might say when they know that you've become a race car driver.
I don't know. I mean, they all know that once I went to Korea, they know what I'm doing here. So nobody's really surprised. I mean, since they know me since I was in primary school, at Monday when everybody came back from weekend,
Yeah.
everybody was talking what they did in the weekend, like going to the swimming pool or anywhere else, and I was talking about racing, if I won or not.
Yeah.
If I didn't win, I didn't want to say anything.
Well, it sounds like a true competitor. When you were in the Netherlands and you were doing regular things in school, did you ever imagine that you would become a professional race car driver?
Well, I mean, I was always given the fact that being a race car driver, and especially professionally, is a chance 1 on a million, because there's so many racing drivers who all want to do this as a profession.
Yes.
And only a handful of people over the world can do it. And I was never aware so much, because I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to be 1 of the million. Like, I can do it. But as you grow older, then you find out that it's quite difficult, and there are many people with very good backgrounds, with a lot of money to invest and to get into racing. And at that time, I thought, well, it's going to be difficult, but in the end, it worked out by a lot of like side roads and eventually, yeah, very happy still to race and to do it as a profession.
Absolutely.
Of course, like any other one, I've been in love when I was young, and I mean, it affected racing in a certain way that you always feel sometimes a little bit more pressure to perform, or you always want to give attention to things that are not related to racing. So I think, yeah, it's in some way it really influenced it as well.
You're already noted as a great Formula 3 racer, right? And most of our viewers probably don't know, like I don't know, the difference between F3 and F1 and this race, that race. Can you explain to us what those main differences are?
All over the world there are many competitions, but it's like in soccer. I mean, you're not playing for Manchester United like instantly. So you have to prove yourself in leagues that are like lower, or like amateurs, and like you start only playing in the weekend, then you play sometimes in the weekdays. And once you go up, it's the same with racing. I mean, you start with go-karts, you go up to formula cars, because formula cars, it's like the ultimate thing to drive. It's like IndyCar, Formula One, like those type of cars with the wings on.
Yes.
And yeah, you start with very slow cars, because as you're kids, you cannot drive those cars very well.
When you say slow cars, like how fast or slow are we talking about?
200.
200 kilometers?
250.
Wow.
And gradually you go up, so you start in like Formula Renault or any kind of other class, and then you go up to Formula 3, and then you have GP2, and then F1.
So with Formula 3, how fast are people going?
Far over 200 through corners.
Through the corners?
Yeah.
Wow. You know, earlier when we were going through some of those kind of hairpin turns and the real severe curves, I'm curious how fast you might estimate we were going.
Well, we were going to the corners not faster than 120.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, was that because I was in there?
No. But these cars, cornering speed is not that high.
I see. So for F3, about 200 on corners. What about for the GP2?
GP2 is around 260. F1 is 280.
Wow. So it's about a big jump from 200 to 260 and on. And how is it that it's so different? I mean, that's a lot of speed.
I mean, first of all, the engine power is different.
I see.
Cornering speed is also through tires, downforce of the car, like aerodynamics. Big difference in like going up are the brakes.
The brakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because normally people think only the engine power is important, but to have fast lap times, braking is very important as well.
Interesting. Wow. Why is that?
Because if you go to a corner, you have to brake. If it takes a long time, it takes because you have to slow down eventually.
Gotcha.
So if people brake later, it saves so much time, more than engine speed can.
Wow. So we're not talking about like the ABS brakes that we find on regular cars.
No, there are no ABS on these cars.
It's just all by you.
It's all by feeling, and if the wheel if you brake too hard, the wheels start locking up on the front. So you have a lot of white smoke from burned rubber. And
Yeah.
everything is by feeling.
Wow. You know, I noticed that these wheels, the tires are actually very different than any regular car that I see, and there's no treads.
Yeah, we have no tread
Why is that?
because no tread generates the most grip on like dry tarmac.
Okay.
And if you see, like we have so many tires here,
Yeah,
we
I
use
just-
like 2 or 3 sets a day.
Wow.
It's yeah.
You know, you were the first racer of Korean descent to win the F3 in 2007
Yeah.
in Germany, the Grand Prix. And I'm curious what the response was like from the press and from people who, you know, were excited to have you be the new champion.
Yeah, the whole year when we were competing in the championship, it was very close already. So people would think, well, it should come one time that this guy wins. So at that time, it all came together, and yeah, we went first place, and people think, wow, but what should we do now?
Yeah.
And of course, we had the Korean flag, and it was upside down because they never had seen a Korean flag before. And in the newspaper, they were talking about an exotic win. And it was, we got so many responses all over the world that people would think, yeah, finally.
You created a lot of buzz because in addition to the Korean flag, you also had different names of very famous
Right.
Koreans. Who were some of the famous names that you had?
We had
Posted
so
on there.
many. I mean, we got to the idea when I came for the first time to Korea, and I thought, yeah, maybe we should make a Korean car. And think, yeah, how you make a Korean car, because we don't have in Korea like something, a national symbol or something like that. So we came up with the idea to make it pink because of the mugunghwa.
Oh, yes, the Rose of
flower.
Sharon.
Yeah, and we made it pink. And I said, yeah, we should do something else as well, and not just the Korean flag because that's lame. We should do something that attracts people. So I took a history book of Korea, and I found all these names, and the first name that popped up on the front, like the first name that you see, is Tangun.
Yes.
And with that it started, and we ended up with Sejongdaewang because of the hunger, and like we had so many
Like
names.
Iseung-shin.
Yeah, Iseung-shin. We had so many names, and it was all handpicked.
So who drew the pictures actually on the car then?
But
Or
I
who-
copied them.
Yeah. Oh, you copied them.
I wrote them at that time. I just copied them from a history book. Well, the first time I did it, of course, many people from Europe saw it and they had no idea. So I made a disclaimer on it as well,
A
what it
disclaimer.
meant.
Okay.
So with an explanation like how it worked and what it meant. And people liked it, and afterwards the Koreans saw it too, and they were absolutely amazed.
Yeah. When you learned of the national flower of Korea as the mugunghwa,
Yeah.
was there a certain kind of a sense of pride that somehow arose from within? I mean, because you're a Dutch citizen, yes?
I mean, it was in the beginning. I was a little bit. It was a little bit strange because not only because of the flower, but also because it was pink. I mean, racing.
It's not really a masculine color.
I know, and it was a little bit strange, but in the end, I mean, if when you see the starting grid, and you see all those race cars, there's one pink. It was always in the media, and it was always in every magazine, and there were so many like positive reactions from everyone.
Yeah.
So it was really great to represent Korea in that way.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about the middle step between the F3 and the F1, the GP2.
Right.
And you've passed the driver's test for the GP2, yes? But there's a reason that you didn't compete in the GP2, and I'd like to ask why.
Well, it's very simple actually, because we did a test in GP2 and it was quite positive. So I wanted to compete in that series like for a full season. And at that time, economical crisis kicked in Europe. So I lost a lot of sponsors.
I see.
And without money, you cannot drive.
On average, for a GP2 season, and how much money would go into the training and just
Right.
everything involved. How much money are we talking about here?
I think you're talking about for one season, so from March to October, I think around 2.5 million US.
So you need 2.5 million US. I mean, that's not small change.
No, it's not. It's not very easy to get that these days.
Right. So even though you passed the driver's test because of the sponsors dropping out with the economic crisis, you weren't able to do it. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, it was a great. I mean, it was in the winter, because in the winter time you always have to arrange new sponsors for the upcoming season, and in February there was nothing confirmed yet. I was totally devastated that this would be the first year that I couldn't race. And yeah, as it ended, I had no seat in the end. It was it was really difficult to find something else also in the same year.
What did you do when you found out that you weren't able to get any sponsors for the amount that you needed?
Well, I found in the end another racing series which I could compete in, just a couple of races, and yeah, I was kind of satisfied that I could race in something else that was also quite a lot of fun, actually. Yeah.
Ricardo, you are a great car racer, and you definitely know your stuff, probably more than a lot of people here, because you've been on the international circuit. You've done this since you were very young, and I think it's probably just a matter of time before large Korean sponsors really see that car racing is something that they need to get behind. And I hope that there will never be a situation where a driver like yourself, who's qualified and able to and ready to, and you've got all the motivation, you've got all the skills, is kind of unable to do so because of a lack of a sponsor for a higher level race.
It's for sure something that nobody wants to experience. But the truth is that the majority of all the drivers who are maybe also qualified, they have the same problem. And for me, I really hope the sponsoring will come, but I also hope it will come on time, because as you know, if you're 45, you cannot race an F1 car anymore.
Yeah.
You need to do it before 30, and if it comes after 30, it's really difficult.
And you're 26?
I'm 26.
26. So you're still young enough, and you've still got a lot of years left in you. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, yes. When did you first visit Korea?
First time I came here in 2007. Was the first time I never met someone from Korea actually before.
You've never met a
No.
Korean before that?
No. And yeah, I was thinking, well, I was born in Korea, maybe I should race for Korea as well. And came here, knew no one, and yeah, started here from scratch.
How did you get connected with the folks here at Indigo?
It came actually after quite a long time. I went here only for 1 month, came back, and didn't came to Korea for about a year. And in 2008, when I came here, some people connected me to Hyundai, and they said, yeah, we have a spot free, do you want to test drive it? Because they wanted me to test, because they were not sure if I was quick enough for their regular drivers. So I tested the car, and eventually said, okay, why don't you join us?
Wow. Tell me about the team that you're affiliated with, Indigo.
Yeah, Indigo is actually, it's a Hyundai affiliated company, and Indigo Racing is his own private racing team.
Okay.
And our owner, he likes it very much. He loves to watch. He comes almost every race, and he will be here on Sunday as well. So he's a big support of the team.
This is the Yeongnam Circuit, where Recardo Bruins Choi, or Choi Myung-gil, will have his last race of the 2012 KSF season. The cars come in for the qualifying rounds. The Indigo Racing Team, including Choi, came out early in the morning to eat and prepare themselves for the race. Over the years, Choi has learned how to energize himself with Korean food. He doesn't forget to check the latest data before the race. He's been racing his whole life, but he still tenses up before each new round. In another part of the circuit, the staff were making their own preparations, putting the finishing touches on Choi's car. What's it like to work with Korea's top racer?
저한테도 큰 기회인 거죠. 이 최정상의 드라이버와 같이 할 수 있다는 게 이제 저희가 시작한 지 몇 년 안 돼요. 한 5, 6년밖에 안 되는데 제 스킬을 한 단계 업그레이드 할 수 있는 좋은 기회라고 생각합니다.
It's finally time for Choi to put on his helmet and drive out to the circuit. The Korean flag on his helmet gives hope and pride to Choi and everyone watching him. There's a final round of preparations to make sure Choi is safe and at his best. He revs up the engine and takes off for the circuit. The track is wet and slippery from thunderstorms that came and went in the morning. The entire team is nervous watching him, praying that nothing goes wrong.
플러스 0.9, 현재 2위.
The information from the pit is immediately relayed to Choi.
여기다 네가 느낄 때 일기한테 무전좀 날려줘라.
The team immediately begins analyzing the data, but they don't look so happy. Are the results less than what they had expected?
약간 아쉽네요.
아 그래요? 어떤 점이?
근데 워낙 이 날씨 상황이 비가 계속 변하는 상황이라서 이번에 지금 랩타임만 비교하기에는 무리가 있어요. 비가 많이 내렸다 적게 내렸다 하면서 랩타임이 달라지거든요.
그래도 매번 1등하던 영길이가 조금 비가 와서 그런지 좀 아쉽고요. 그래도 잘할 거라고 믿어요.
Choi returns from the race safe and sound. He seems very disappointed with the results. He walks off the track with a heavy heart, ranked third in the qualifying round.
There's too many standing water on the track. Had to drive too careful and costed me, I think, 1.5 seconds.
The qualifying rounds were rough, but hopefully the finals will have a different result for Choi Myung-gil.
Hi everyone, I am here at the races. Now today is the final day. The champion will be decided here at the Korea Speed Festival at Yeongam. Now you see all these people, they are here for the Indigo Racing Team. The racing models I'm sure you're not going to miss. So let's go on in and see what we can see.
Thankfully, the skies have cleared up for the final round. The circuit was buzzing with energy, with racing models cheering on the racers and media cameras firmly planted on the tracks.
Oh, it looks like he's really enjoying his time with the models, yeah? Maybe I should go and say hello really soon, yeah? Come on. Ricardo, how do you feel before going into the race today?
I really would like to win it, the last one. But on the other hand, safety is also a big issue here. The first corner is very tight. So hopefully I can bring home a good result, and it would be great for everybody who's watching as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With a hearty cheer, Choi heads for the circuit. He waits for the starting signal after making final preparations. One minute before the race, the entire Indigo Racing Team is holding its breath. The cars finally take off with a roar and begin their fierce race. The stands are tense with anticipation. Choi kicks up his speed, hoping to make up for the qualifying round. Almost immediately, cars begin crashing at the first corner. The Indigo team goes into crisis mode and begins to shout directions to Choi. Thankfully, the crash doesn't affect Choi's performance as it happened behind him. After the last corner, Choi finishes a safe third. The race is over, and as soon as he sees his teammates, Choi gives them a victory wave. Ranking third in the final round, Choi Myung-gil has become the combined top racer of the 2012 KSF season with 149 points.
좀 스타트 때 좀 위험했는데 나중에 그냥 스피드 괜찮아서
For me, I'm proud of him. He have to do it. Maybe next year he do also.
This is Choi's second year in a row winning the KSF. It's a very special moment for him.
I'm so excited for you. How are you feeling with the win of the season?
Well, the win of the season, of course, very happy. It was a very difficult race because we had to put everything on safety. In the end, I'm very happy for everyone because now you can see everybody's very relaxed and very happy in the end. But before the race, it was totally different story.
The Indigo team throws Choi up in the air in celebration of his fantastic performance this season. His victory is a victory for all of them.
일단 명길이 일단 상당히 좋아했고요. 오늘은 진짜 우승해 주지 않다. 시리즈라는 거를 진짜 이뤘기 때문에 너무 기쁜 마음으로 일단 마무리했습니다. 명길이 1년 동안 너무 고생했고 올해 부족한 점도 많았지만 이 올해 부족한 점은 내년에 좀 더 보완을 해서 더 좋은 모습으로 노력하자. 파이팅! 명길이 축하한다.
Recardo Bruins Choi Myung-gil has returned to his native country with the dream of becoming Korea's first F1 driver. Each victory is sure to be a stepping stone to making that dream come true.
Your next goal, naturally, my guess would be to race in the F1, right?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So what do you think it will take? What kind of requirements do you need to have to become an F1 racer?
I think it's many factors. I mean, of course you need luck. You need timing. You need sponsors. You need a great market behind you, like Korea. And I think at that point everything is possible. I mean, you need also the luck that you can go into F1 with a very good racing team. Then you have all the opportunities to be successful.
Wow. If you were to look at your life maybe a year or two from now, and if you were to race as an F1 racer, how do you think your life would be different at that time than it is right now?
I mean, of course, F1 would be a major challenge in my life. And if you drive F1, then it's racing in the morning, racing in the afternoon, and racing at night. And it's something that you can never, like, if you have one dull moment, you miss the whole momentum in your career. And I think that is something that changes majorly. I mean, you only have to live for F1.
If you had to think about something that you have to overcome to go into the F1 races, what would that be?
I think first of all, it's very important to have good backing from a sponsor that really believes in you. And also, of course, talent is very important. I mean, you need to like fine-tune your own skills. I mean, you need a lot of practice. You need a lot of. Even I need to learn lots of new things and lots of improvements that I have to keep.
Like what kind of things do you think you need to learn?
I mean, I need to. I mean, one thing could be preparing for a race, like getting a better rhythm in the car. I mean, it's not only doing, okay, now I brake and then go into the corner, but it's also like you have to fine-tune that skill to go even smoother and even better. And that's something you can only learn by doing,
Yes.
especially with those cars.
Yeah. I imagine that it's a combination of things, but there are so many kinds of sports out there, and many sports take a lot of investment, but unlike maybe other kinds of sports, this might be the most expensive sport because you have to keep the car in tip-top shape. Like if this is not in tip-top shape, there's no chance of really
No way. No.
winning.
No, I mean, it requires a lot of development costs, like to do the setting and to do everything to make everything like 100% fine to start. But on the other side, I mean, that's why this sport is so interesting, because even we're here now for the race. I mean, the race is only 25 laps. That's it.
Wow.
And we are here already 1 week, and we're preparing everything. We're doing qualifying, but the points are only divided at the race, and it's only 25 laps within an hour.
So much preparation for a short period of time.
And that's why all the drivers are so pressured to perform at just that lap by lap. It's only 25 laps.
Wow. You've competed in many races, and I'm just curious, which might be the most memorable for you?
I think the most memorable was when I won the Formula 3 race. I mean, especially the first time I won. It was, it took such a long time to win, and when it finally happened, it was so many pressure came off my shoulders, and I think it was the best race I ever did.
Yeah. How would you define racing?
I mean, racing is. I think racing is for 50% mentally, and 50% like skills. And skills, of course, you need to know how to drive, and you need to have done it many times. But I think with practice you can come really far. And mentally, everything is concentrating, and everything is getting. I mean, there are about 15 corners here. And you need to do them all 100% well, otherwise your lap time is not fast.
Yeah.
And that's everything that counts.
What kind of significance does racing have in your life?
The significance is that, I mean, I'm very privileged to do this. That's one thing. And the one thing I think that racing makes so interesting is that all the aspects are involved. I mean, it's not an individual sport because it's team sport, because I also need to work with all the mechanics. And secondly, I think that is a very important thing within racing. It's doing something that you've never done before. I mean, every time you break a record, like lap time wise, you do something you never done before. And that's what makes it so interesting every day. I mean, if we drive tomorrow, the day after, every day is interesting because you have always new challenges.
Yeah, it's not common for most people to do what they love. And I mean, it sounds like you absolutely love what you do. You love racing and you love your job. You love the people that you're working with. What do you say to people who have maybe a different kind of dream or hope for their future and their career?
I think they should always pursue it. How tough it is, how difficult it is, because I think life is too short to just think that you could have done it, but you were never for sure. I mean, if you have the chance, or if you have a shot at something that you like, you should always pursue it.
Last but not least, I want to ask you this. If and when you get married later, and if you choose to have children, and if you had a son or a daughter, would you want them to get into racing too?
I would definitely put them in a go-kart. If they like it, I will support them. If they don't like it, I will go with the same amount of fun, I guess, to the soccer field on Sunday morning and watch them play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would try it definitely. Because I'm not saying, I mean, if they like it only for fun, then it's fine for me too. They don't have to be a professional.
Awesome.
You know, it's been so wonderful talking with you, and thank you so much for arranging for us to be here, you know, right in front of the racetracks and in front of your cars. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you. And thank you for the ride. That was just so much fun. I just think I'm going to be addicted now. Need to go on the go-kart races really soon.
We really need to do it one time.
Definitely.